Hello everyone. So we've come back to our spot by the Nashwauk, but as the water has risen and with yesterday's experience with Eli, we have decided not to cross. The rocks over there, it doesn't really look like it, but there's more water running. It's quieter as a result. And so I just wanted to share with you this moment with the full moon energies that are coming through. It's a moment of both death and rebirth, and I felt that the contrast that has faded in the last 2 days of the snow and the gold and the greens of autumn were just so striking. And so I wanted you guys to get a chance to really enjoy this scenery. And those leaves are moving because my lovely little puppy back here is oh so excited. And oh, there are those bikes. There's some abandoned bikes. It's hard to tell whether or not a bike is abandoned or being hidden here for future reference or for someone else to pick up. There's kind of a lot of stuff that comes and goes, so I just kind of leave things as they are and trust that if they're meant to be moved, they will be. But yes, so the green and gold and white contrast is so fitting for the energy of the rebirth, which is poetic because if you can't see it, there was a little tiny moth coming by just as I was saying rebirth. But I also found it interesting that there is a very broken tree trunk and a very whole one right next to it. And I found the poetic kind of twin existence of things both being destroyed and being left broken down or allowed to break down in order for new things to come through is kind of reflected. And right next to here we have what attracted me to this spot in the first place. There's a beaver building his dam. And I can hear the loons getting ready to cross. So there's some ducks not too far away. And of course, beaver is a totem. And he brings his own medicine of how to be both of the land and of the water, of the practical and of the emotional, the material and the spiritual. And so there's this balancing of the feminine and the masculine energy with the cardinal or the four elements being balanced through earth and the water bringing change and making the earth thrive, because the fundamental energies, often rivers flood. In fact, it's very natural for rivers to flood. It's a natural part of their process and they need it. And it's the beaver that is representing that for me at this time. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Aboriginal totems, do a quick Google search, see what resonates. It's a nice guardian. He's one of my totems that follows me. Eli did want to dart off, but he ended up listening and he did not actually go after anything. But I just wanted to give you guys a chance to see from my perspective where I was sitting. Now that little tree, I gotta find it here. Perspective on this camera is a bit difficult. See that rock? Oh, Eli's trying to pull. Hang on. That rock with those little ledge with that, I was keeping my foot on the bottom and I was sitting on that. And that's the spot that attracted me here. This beautiful, perfect sitting spot just a foot from the water. Now I'm sure that if I came back here at a later time, if the water was rising, it would probably be one of the first spots that would be inaccessible again. But that's alright. And I just kind of show you where we are, and we're walking and change perspectives for a bit and give you guys a longer view of this beautiful forest. And this is the Nashwauk, or a Nashwauk stream, tributary as they would call it. And just before we go, I'm going to give you guys the perspective that I have, in that all things If you really want something new, something fresh in your life, if you're unsatisfied with what has been going on, you got to be prepared to let some stuff go. You can't do that. There's no room for anything new to grow. And so sometimes that means, I'm sorry for all the shakiness, just hang on. I walked into some burrs. See, the dangers of walking around and tramping around is you got things like these. I don't know if you've seen burrs before, but yeah, there's a good look at them. Those things are difficult to remove if you force. They're fine if you tread lightly, but they're difficult if you force. But this is the stream. Okay. And that's what we attempted to cross, and we did cross the last 2 days to go in the field, which is there. But this time around, we stopped and we stared, and there was this beaver in the water, going back and forth. And of course, by the time I noticed him, he had seen us, so he went into hiding, which is all well and good. But from that perspective, I started to look around, and I was like, where would be a good spot to sit and enjoy the space? And so I treaded around the edge of the water, trying to see if I could find any large rocks. And I could see one over there in that little tree. And I said, oh, well, that looks like a good ledge. And so we headed over there. And so that concludes the adventures of Eli and Pascal, Star Lily Phoenix, Desrosier-Hickey. Yes, I used all my names, all at once. It's part of integrating all your aspects. If you've ever had any type of spiritual path in which you're encouraged to create yourself a power name, just make sure that when you work with your energy, you actually use all your namings, all of the versions of self that you may or may not have created over time. So I'm covered with burrs right now and other plants that are sticking to my clothes, so I'm going to sign off. But I wanted to share with you the energy of the moment. If you didn't already know, since the eclipse, it's been pretty much another death and rebirth cycle. For those of you who have gone through these before, you know what to do. Stay grounded, get out in nature, feel what you gotta feel, put on a movie that helps you connect with how you're feeling, if it helps. Funny things triggers are, so follow whatever your soul dictates. Follow your heart. So I have a leash, myself, and a dog to clean up, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this adventure. Pink bike and all, right over there. And I'll let you guys go, and hope that you find some helpful reminders in just being in the moment. So take care, guys.